Captain Watchdog. Government waste is out of control, and politicians at all levels are turning their back on fiscal responsibility. Special interest groups, sweetheart deals, and voter complacency are the norm. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to gather conservative voters around you and force those in office to stop the rising tide of irresponsible spending. As always, should you be captured during the course of your mission, conservatism will be disavowed, and taxes will continue to increase until everyone is working only to pay for a bloated government. Good luck, watchdogs. Your country is counting on you.
Ooh, I had to get some more beverage. And it's not adult beverages. Hi, folks. It's Captain Watchdog for the second hour of Watchdog Radio on AM 1070 and FM 107.1. Don't forget, we're also on KWEL.com. That was a fun first hour. I don't know if Nelson, did you get to hear any of that?
No, I did not. I have met Kathy White before, and last couple Saturdays ago at the Despierta Tu Voz event down at Centennial Plaza. Mm-hmm. I talked to her for a couple of minutes, but didn't get to hear any of that interview.
Well, that's too bad. It's recorded, so it's recorded for posterity. As we do most of the Watchdog Radio programs.
I'll have to go back and listen to it.
It's must-hear radio. All right. Well, and my goal is to have every mayoral candidate in here this week to talk about the issues that matter to Midlanders. And one of the reasons I wanted to take the part of Tuesday night because there's also a lesser known, maybe not as sexy race. Midland County Republican Party chairman has a contested race this year. So, Nelson, you're running for that.
That's correct.
And we'll have James in, I think, at 6:30. Well, okay. We'll see. I forgot to double-check with him today. But anyway, we've got Nelson here. And what caused you to want to contest the county chairman? The county chairman's race, usually these things are, whatever. Nobody pays attention.
Nobody pays attention. Well, yeah. Jason, to be fair, I don't see it as a contest. I'm a servant. That's what I do. I just love serving people, and I've got a history of serving in my community and in my church. And I love getting involved in Republican causes. I've been involved for years, since 1986. I was an intern for U.S. Senator Pete Domenici. Been to a couple of national conventions as a delegate and as an alternate. Been involved in state, local races. I love blogging. I love writing. And by the way, go to my website, nelsonspear.com. Mm-hmm. Email me, nelson@nelsonspear.com. Anyway, I don't see this. I'm not contesting anything. I'm running for a job. I'm running for a job that's not sexy. I'm running to be a step up my volunteerism, so to speak.
Yeah.
I just want to serve the public, and I want to serve the Republican community. I want to get out there and increase the vote. I want to get the voter turnout. I want to build some coalitions and work on some fundraising. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. You said, I was asking you before we came on, so we know Ted Cruz is now filibustering Obamacare, which apparently is about to turn, and this is a question I want to ask you, because the easy question is, of course, do you support Ted Cruz, blah, 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 blah. But the reality is, do you support John Cornyn, who's going around, apparently, as reported by Breitbart, and whipping the vote against Cruz and whipping Republicans into this, and this is the stuff that people are sick of in Republican Party politics, is they're whipping the vote to get to a place where they vote for cloture, but then vote against Obamacare, knowing that they're going to lose, because it's a 51 vote threshold.
Correct. The 60 vote threshold on cloture. Do I support John Cornyn? I highly respect Senator John Cornyn. I think he's a great man. He's done a lot for the state of Texas. I don't necessarily agree with the actions he's taking now. I'm not sure, as reported by Breitbart, that's a fairly reliable source, but I'm not sure exactly what Senator Cornyn is doing, but I support Senator Ted Cruz. And if you go to my website right now, www.nelsonspear.com, and go to the news, or actually go to my blog section, you will see the article that I just wrote supporting Senator Ted Cruz in his actions right now and going against the Unaffordable Care Act. Unaffordable Uncare Act.
So let me ask you this: what there's a lot of heartburn. Now it seems to be cooled off quite a bit with the Republican Party of Texas. But, there's been heartburn in the past about the state party, playing games, with republicanism. And then, of course, the RNC is perpetually in trouble with, grassroots conservatives for all of their hijinks that they play. Well, what is the state of the national party, in your opinion?
Wow. Well, this is a great question, Jason. I kind of want to follow Ronald Reagan's protocol on that. Don't speak ill of another Republican. 11th commandment.
Well, unless they totally suck.
That's
the Captain Watchdog 12th commandment.
Well, I'm not talking about John McCain right now.
Yeah.
but what I am talking about is I did have a chance once to sit down to talk to Rance Priebus about some of the other issues I'm very involved with, including immigration, by the way. And if I'm going to trash the RNC chairman, I'm going to, first of all, write him a note and say, these are my problems with you, and I'm not going to trash him here on the radio until I have a chance to do that.
Yeah, well,
there is
I don't know if Reince Priebus is the problem, or it's just, because you're running to, carry the banner of the Republican Party in Midland County, and there's a hierarchy to that, that people need to understand, that it's with the state and, the state Republican Executive Committee and those kind of things, but so your job is to go out and recruit people to the Republican Party. That's part of one of your jobs. And when you're running into roadblocks because people are taking out their angst of the national party on the local party, that's where you have to try to explain what the hell they're doing up there.
Well, my basic response is look, all Republican politics is local. And it's all grassroots. We got to start there. And I've been in the grassroots for many years. I'm 49 years old, and I've been involved heavily in Republican politics since, even before 1986. But I've been focused in talking about it and recruiting people and just talking about the issues. And I think there's a way to engage the opposition on this without trashing them personally. I mean, we can discuss the issues rationally, and when part of my goal is increasing GOP turnout. I mean, we are the most red state county of the entire state. I mean, we have a wonderful opportunity here, but I think we're squandering it. And I think the way to get our higher voter turnout is education. And if you go to my website, you will see some of the topics that we're talking about. Again, www.nelsonspear.com. Anyway, I want to educate people, and one of the things I've done is taking a list of all our elected officials, finding out who they are. And you realize that we have 52 state and local officials that have dominion over us because we've elected them. The 53rd position, in essence, is the county chair or the precinct chair. And the thing is, if you're playing a game of cards, the joker is the third and fourth card if you have it in the deck, and that's the most valuable card. And I see our grassroots people really getting involved and making a difference. And the thing is they're just not educated on how they can be involved, and that's the kind of chairman I want to be. Getting people involved.
Let's grab a phone call here. Hi, you're on AM 1070 and FM 107.1.
We have these real slick-talking politicians who claim to be Republicans like Lindsey Graham, McKee, and now we can add Bush and John Cornyn to that list. We have open borders. I would like to grab Cornyn by the neck, and I've called every office number I can find. He's got about 6 across the state of Texas and 1 in Washington, D.C. today, and none of them are they answering the phone.
Oh, no.
Mine's show to be busy, but I'd like to grab him by the throat and ask him, who did he help today? Did he help conservative Americans, or did he help Harry Reid?
Yeah, and that's one of the things we were talking about here before we went on the air. Is this, or maybe we talked on the air? I don't remember. My head's swimming. This thing of voting for cloture and then casting a vote against Obamacare when you've now allowed Harry Reid the ability to pass it with 51 votes. Is very, very frustrating because it's having it both ways. It's getting the symbolic vote of no, knowing that the outcome is that it's going to pass without you.
That is why we have open borders. That's why we have a Muslim in the White House, and that's why we're $17 trillion in debt. And that's why Those people have stood by while this country has gone bankrupt, destitute, and down the road, down the tubes. And they need to be called on it. And if I ever get a call in, I will swear to them that I will finance their next opponent in the next election.
All right. Thanks, Doc. 620-8700. Let's run over here. Hi, you're on AM 1070 and FM 107.1. By the way, we may pop in here on Ted Cruz on the Freedom Works, looks like their feed. Hi, you're on AM 1070.
Yes, I just wanted to call in and give y'all a phone number to be calling. It might take about 10 minutes if you're on hold.
Mm-hmm.
It's for the Capitol. It's area code 202.
Yes.
224-3121. And that's 224 area code.
Mm-hmm.
What did I say?
202.
224-3121.
All right. Nelson, maybe you and I can call them while we're on the air.
Let's do it.
The area code is 202.
Right. Okay, thanks.
And, but, I just wanted to say we need to call and especially thank all of those that are fighting for our freedom and also
Amen.
to defund the Obamacare along with all the other ungodly issues.
Yep. Amen. Thanks, sister. 620-8700. Let's see if we can pipe in this feed here.
Because problems cannot be solved by a larger government.
Oh, no. Looks like we're having trouble with that. So, all right, 620-8700. If you want to be part of Watchdog Radio, we got Nelson Spear in here. His website, nelsonspear.com. You can go check out everything he has to say about just about anything, I think.
Well, let me give you a little bit of my background. Most of the people don't know. I am a lawyer, but I use great. We got another lawyer. But remember, our first president, Republican president, was Abraham Lincoln, who practiced law.
Uh-huh.
But I spent most of my time as a state and federal prosecutor.
You got to admit, though, that was before the law practice was corrupted.
Well, I'm not going to comment on that. But I spent 9 years as a state prosecutor, even prosecuting everything from DWI to capital murder. And then I was a federal prosecutor on the border down in Las Cruces, New Mexico. I actually prosecuted those guys crossing the border and the people who would smuggle them across the border, including some border crimes and one or two gun cases. Mm-hmm. But I want to point out that people don't realize how much time when the administration would give the funds to the Border Patrol to enforce the border. Mm-hmm. Some of these people are getting as much as 10 years. That was, I think, my high water mark. One guy who had been deported and came back, he got 10 years in the federal penitentiary for coming back.
Wow.
And so I am very serious about border issues, and I'm very serious about sealing the border now.
Yeah. All right, good. Well, let's grab a phone call here. Hi, you're on AM 1070 and FM 107.1.
I'd like to say I agree with the caller before the last one, 100%. I'd like to ask your guest, he supports Cronin. What has Cronin done for the state of Texas?
Good question.
Well, let's generally speaking, and I'm just speaking generally, senators like Cornyn and Kay Bailey Hutchison, when they come in, they tend to be very conservative, and then as they get there,
Kay Bailey Hutchison is not conservative.
Well, when they were first there, they tended to be more conservative as a benchmark. As they get there longer and longer, they tend to get more comfortable in the spot that they're in, and they tend to drift away from their more conservative values. It's been my understanding and my observations of some of his votes. Since Ted Cruz has gotten on the scenes, John Cornyn has been shoved back a little bit to the right. I'm against...
Are you kidding me?
Well...
Do you expect me to think Cronin is conservative?
I'm not... Well, I'm not... on a scale...
I watched every move they made. He is not a conservative. He's a Bush phony. And until you come to the realization that Bush and all that bunch that manufactured that war in the Middle East, just like Obama did it, until you come to the awakening that they're one and the same, you are pee-peeing in a windstorm.
Well, thank you for using pee-peeing instead of the other words.
And I appreciate the comments. I'll consider that, absolutely.
All right, thanks. I think he had something else. I'm sorry. I was a little quick on my fat finger on the phone there. Hi, you're on AM 1070.
Don't take it personally.
And FM 107.1.
Hey, Jason, I got a question.
Yes.
if this gentleman is elected to the Republican
county chair,
committee, is he going to support Mike Conway?
I beg your pardon?
Are you going to support Mike Conway?
Well, let me put it this way. There's a difference between supporting the person and supporting those policies. My goal as county chairman, and I want to make this clear, I do not, it's my goal not to endorse any candidates in the primary against other candidates. I mean, the way I look at it is if there was somebody who came up against Mike Conway in the primary, my goal would be like Mills Lane, the guy who refereed all those heavyweight boxing matches like between Holyfield and Tyson. He made sure there was a fair fight and everything was done according to the rules. My goal is not to support any particular candidate. Now, I do speak out against Mike Conway's TARP votes. I do speak out against the raising of the debt ceiling. I do vote against the fact that some of these budgets are just insane. I do speak out against certain votes that he has made, but as a candidate, I'm not going to support one candidate over another candidate. I want to make sure.
I guess the frustration that I have with Mr. Conway is specifically him and more or less Mr. Conway, or Mr. Cornyn now, is when they run, they say they're conservative.
Oh, they're right-wing bomb throwers when they're running.
They're going to, lower the debt and preserve freedom, and then they're elected and sworn in office, and then they turn 180 degrees and they go in the exact opposite direction for
so what you're saying is
quarter or 5 years, and then they turn back around.
So what you're saying is that when they're running, they're Arnold Schwarzenegger. When they're in office, they're Pee Wee Herman.
Exactly. and Mr. Conway lost my vote when he voted for TARP. I specifically called and, it was hard voting for somebody else in the general election, but I'm going to vote for principles. And if he doesn't have principles, and he can't share and articulate why he voted, how he voted, besides saying, "Well, we're going to fall apart."
Yeah,
I don't need to spend $1 billion. So
right. The earth is going to end if we don't do this.
Someone may or may not have a problem.
Yeah. All right, we got to run. Thanks. 620-8700. Let's grab one more, and then we got to pay some bills here. Hi, you're on AM 1070 and FM 107.1.
Hi. A couple of comments, Jason, for Mr. Spear. I thought that he was right on whenever he said he's neutral, and Reagan said don't speak ill of fellow Republican, but I also believe he's right in saying, that a lot of our representatives start out being conservative and then aren't later.
Yeah.
Now, another caller a few minutes ago said that you couldn't get anybody in their offices, and what you need to know is what the district office's number for John Cornyn, because his voicemail was full. The Capitol switchboard was constantly busy.
Oh, and we had a caller before the show started that reminded me that over at John Cornyn's Facebook page, he is getting pilloried.
Oh,
I mean, he is getting hammered over there.
I have to say that I faxed him, and I did leave a voicemail on the Austin number because nobody was answering it. Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Harlingen, Lubbock, or Tyler.
Oh, that's funny.
I think everybody's gone and run for the bushes because he has to be told by his constituents what we think about him and these procedural votes and all this garbage, and it's why everybody's so sick of Washington. Now, we've got one guy, Louis Gohmert, that, he's in his third or fourth term. Now, he hasn't changed a bit. There's a few guys that are just fantastic up there, and then there's the ones that seem to get, jelly for a spine. John Cornyn has never been good at being on a Sunday talk show, and he was a few months ago on, I can't think of his name, but he just looked terrible up there. He did a really poor job on the immigration question. So, it's a shame that they don't learn how to talk, too.
Yeah.
But, Mr. Spear, you sound like you really know what you're doing, and staying neutral is the best thing.
Now, let me ask you.
What you've got to do.
Now, let me ask you this, Barbara. But didn't you like the Captain Watchdog 12th commandment?
Well, Which one was that?
It's the speak ill against the Republicans. They really suck.
Yes, if they really
Well, Captain, may I interject here that as much as I dislike the policies of John McCain, he was certainly a lot better than the alternative.
I'm not sure about that. At least with the alternative.
We would not have had Obamacare. I dead can guarantee that.
Wait, in the primary or the Democrat?
I'm talking about in the general election.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know about at least with the Democrat.
The dog catcher.
Well, at least with the Democrat, you know what you're really getting.
No, we didn't. We did not. I disagree with you strongly on that.
Oh,
it was worse than I could ever imagine.
Oh, Obama?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, my gosh. I listened to Roland
Kennedy.
I knew it was going to be horrible. And he's doing everything that we thought he would do.
I thought you meant the Democrat running against McCain for Senate in Arizona.
No, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I almost got myself in trouble there.
Well, I'm glad we cleared up that misinformation understanding here.
Cornyn really needs to pay attention to his constituents. But I'll tell you something. When you come on this radio station, there's no telling how hard people are going to be on you, and they need to listen to what the person says.
Yeah.
By
the way, did you get to hear
the Midland mayoral candidate, and I believe, I don't have to vote in Midland, but I believe she's on the wrong road.
So you heard the Kathy White interview then?
Oh, well, we've got a discerning ear. And you can tell where someone's coming from pretty quick.
It was a fun interview, I got to admit. It was.
I thought it was really embarrassing for her to continue to go, to this lady.
Hey, I didn't even get to, I meant to ask the pension question too, but anyway. All right, we got to run over.
Thanks.
All right, 620-8700. Can you stay a little bit? Because it looks like James isn't making it in.
I'm your guest.
Okay. We'll take a little break here and more of your phone calls right after this.